1.9 in their first semester in school. Because the credit score, we talk about wealth, credit score equates to wealth. And we're going to get into that a little bit. But we're also going to talk about something most people don't like to talk about. We're going to talk to the parents here. Do you all talk about budgets in your household? You do? Okay. We had to change, because I'm in that industry, we had to change that word. People don't like to talk about budgets, but they would prefer talking about a spending plan. Does that sound better? Spending plan rather than a budget. But either one, you got to figure out how much money is coming in and how much is going out. But I want you to think about something now. How many of you work? Who works? Some work. Do you have a budget? You do? What happened? How did you decide to get a budget? Who inspired you to do that?
My mom inspired me to have a budget, like with my paycheck. So 10% is for tithes, 20% is for savings, and then the rest is kind of my spending.
Oh, great. Okay, someone else?
Just like, I spend about like maybe 10 or 15% of what I make, and then the rest I save up for college.
No, you're saving for college. Anybody else? Because you start early. Here is something I'm doing for parents, and I'm going to give each parent a number of things, and I hope I'm going to give you guys only one thing. But before I continue, there was a sign-in sheet. I got some from down here, but in the back, is that sign-in sheet still back there? If you haven't signed in, I'm asking both parents and students to sign in. There should be a sign-in sheet in the back. If you would sign in, I would appreciate it. But I'm going to give parents a number of items, and one of the items I'm going to give the parents, it's a program that I'm involved in where throughout the country, we're emphasizing while they are in school, not now, because many of them are graduating, but when they start in elementary school, that we start teaching students about money. You can teach elementary school kids about money concepts, because haven't you all been asking mom and dad for something ever since you were young? When you would go in, you want this toy, that toy. Did you ever ask them, where are you going to get the money to buy this toy? You didn't really care, did you? No, you didn't really care. You just said, I want this, I want that. So we want to teach them the difference between a want and a need. And that money, what do you think money comes from? A job? Where else? Where else? Yeah, because now money doesn't just come from jobs. Money can come from investments. Stocks, yeah. Various types of investments. I want you to learn what are other things you can do as far as money. We want to talk about some life principles this morning that really can help you in the future. For instance, one of the presidential candidates, Mitt Romney, he hasn't worked in a number of years. Hasn't worked in a number of years. But he makes millions every year. Where does he get the millions from? Stocks and bonds and various other types of investments. You are growing up in a different time. I told you I retired from Equifax. I was there almost 35 years. You're not going to work anywhere 35 years. You won't work for one company. Why? Number one, you don't want to work for one company. Number two, they don't want you to work for them. You will have somewhere between 6 and 8 careers. I didn't say 6 or 8 jobs. I said careers. Because you probably will be doing something in the future that you don't even know about today. There are thousands of jobs today that didn't even exist 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Because technology is changing things. But there's also something I want you to know about, and that is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. I want you to start thinking about owning your businesses and everything. But what keeps people from doing that? They don't have a budget and they have poor credit. So let's get to our discussion on why we have this discussion this morning. Budget. Here are some things. Needs versus wants. How many of you know the difference between a need and a want? Tell me a need.
Need is something that helps you survive or is necessary to survive.
Something necessary to survive. Anybody, any other thoughts on need? What is a need? Water? Food? Air? Shelter? Okay. What's a want? What? Shoes? A car, he said? Some? Let's talk about a car. We can talk about a car that gets us from place to place, or we can talk about a Mercedes, a Lexus. Some people think they need that kind of car. And I didn't say that there was anything wrong with having those kinds of cars. It is when you can afford them. Preparing a budget. We're going to talk about that. Different sections of a budget. Sticking to your budget. Fixing an unbalanced budget. Building an emergency savings. Now, emergency savings. Parents, question for you. How many months of savings should you have and what kind should it be? Any thoughts?
6 months.
Some people said 6 months, okay.
It's a year's salary. A year.
It is good now to have a year. In the past, we used to say 3 to 6 months, but it is taking much longer to get employment today. I have a good friend who was out of work for 13 months. He just landed a job, especially when you have the higher income. He's a 6-figure income person. It takes a while to replace that. So he fortunately had savings and everything, so he was able to keep his family surviving. But it is important to save. That's why I went back here, and it's important to start saving when you all get jobs, when you're young, when you have small amount, versus waiting and saying, well, when I get more money coming in. You won't get more money coming in to save until you learn how to do with a small amount of money. Who can tell me item number 2 there, down payment? What is that? What is a down payment? Oh, what you're going to get? Anybody else? Down payment. What about you? Down payment. What is a down payment? Something you put down. And there's normally a percentage that you'll have to put down on something. What is gross income? Okay, all the way in the back.
What you make before taxes.
What you earn before taxes. And net income is what? You said after taxes, but there's something else that comes out of there after, other than taxes. There are different things, and I want you to start thinking about this. When you go to work, there should be some other things that you have taken out of your check. There's a savings, or what I want you to think about and what creates wealth and what's going to create wealth for you, because most companies aren't giving you a pension anymore. They do not give out pensions anymore. So there's something called a 401k or a Roth 401k. And now more and more companies are saying, you have to take care of yourself. We're not going to take care of it. That's why when you're going from place to place, remember I said you're going to have multiple careers later on? Multiple careers. You have to put 401k money in and you have to transfer it each time. Therefore, you must manage your money because those companies that you left, they don't want to see you anymore. They don't want to pay you any money. Again, but you're going to be fine. You will be fine if you do this and understand that needs to be a part of that net income. Is there a difference between biweekly and semi-monthly paychecks? If somebody tells you they're going to pay you biweekly or they're going to pay you semi-monthly, you said it's the same. Is it the same if you go over a year's period of time? Biweekly and semi-monthly. Bi-weekly, how many paychecks would you get? How many paychecks for a year? Or semi-monthly? Bi-weekly, you will get 26 paychecks in a year. Semi-monthly, you will get 24 paychecks in a year. So you need to understand numbers. That's one of the reasons we have had the problem that our president, who is not getting credit for it, and I'll tell you, is trying to bail us out of. We were sold things. We were sold and told that we could afford homes that we couldn't afford. We were given gimmicks that most of us didn't analyze and say, I can't afford that. I want you to understand numbers. And so we're going to talk about knowing numbers. That's what biweekly versus semi-monthly. Understanding what's the different terminology there. These are needs versus wants. Public transportation. Transportation via car. It depends on where you are. If you're in New York City, do you need a car? No. So, public transportation. Now, if you're up in Ithaca, New York, you need what? A bus. You need a bus? Yeah. Can you get around? Well, you're on a college campus, but if you had to go to work, back and forth to work, do they have good, reliable public transportation? Yes. They do. Here, what do you need? Car. Yeah, car to get around. Transportation. Now, do you need leather seats? Do you need a GPS? Yes. Oh, now wait a minute. You need GPS. Have you figured out how to use the map? Have you figured out MapQuest? That's supposed to look down while you're driving. What about before you got in the car to plan the trip? You can't memorize